Hey, all. Thanks for tuning in tonight. This is Paul, your hostess with the mostest. And we pushed back our time tonight a little bit there. So thanks for tuning in there. A little bit, I guess we'll call it a time zone shift, right? So that's what we did here tonight. We went ahead and jumped in and changed our stuff out here. All right. So we're getting ready to start here in a second here. Apparently, my countdown is. Let's go for it. All right. So I think we're getting ready to rock and roll here. Little delay in our start here. We were just getting going here, and I've got a good reasons why we started a little late here. So we'll definitely give you the rundown here in a moment here. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in, hanging out here with us on a hour delay. Do I call it a delay? Am I running late? What was the reason why I was a little behind schedule here, getting on the old camera here tonight on a Thursday night. So again, thank you for tuning in and hanging out here with us on the drum. No, not the drums and rums, man. I guess I've been doing so much live streaming this week that I've just lost track of actually what show I'm on at the moment here. So, all right, let's see y'all who's checking in there. So, hey, Sean, thanks for tuning in there. I appreciate you hanging out here with us here tonight. So, in 1 second, we're just trying to go through and check how's the sound coming in. And we good on our vocals here, on our mics here? Let me know. Let me know how we all sound here. I'm just trying to check these things out myself. Uh, there we go. There we go. I think I'm good. All right, I think we're good to go here. So, all right, we'll go ahead and close that. I heard myself. All right, I think we're good to go here. So let's jump into this here. So again, thank you for joining me. I know we're a little bit 10 minutes after 9 o'clock on a Thursday, and also an hour off than we normally have our show on Thursday nights. And there was a reason why I kind of was struggling with trying to figure out what to do for tonight because there was a conflicting event happening tonight that I didn't want to miss. And I'm trying to juggle a lot of things. And of course, as you guys probably know me long enough, I try to want to do everything. And yes, and it's very difficult to try to please everything and everybody and do everything and so forth. So that's why I was a little late. And that reason was because one of our past guests on the podcast, Shanice from the Little Things duo, they were on, and they were local here at a new venue that everyone's been telling me to go check out here in West Palm Beach. So I definitely want to give them a shout out there. The Northwood Art District. It's kind of a warehouse. There's a lot of new things. Warehouses. You know, places opening up, bars and little music venues and arts kind of stuff going on. And that was so they happen to be playing tonight. I was thinking about trying to do the live stream happy hour down at. Look at that! Totally forgot to schedule this for 8 o'clock or change the time on YouTube. Oops! Just noticing that now. And so anyway, so after work, I was like, all right, let me go try to go down there. They're supposed to be playing from 7:30 to 8 o'clock, so that's why I moved it an hour. And then I figured I have enough time to get back up to back home in the studio, and then go in and then get all this done and on time. Well, of course, I should have known better that this event that's supposed to start at 7. Typically, of course, any music events never start on time, so they didn't start really until 7 o'clock. The first guy was up, Dominic Delaney, and then next up was the Little Things, Shanice and Katie. So I posted a video already on my the Rumfluencer Instagram page, their story. So check that out. I'll post some more stuff though. They're amazing. Again, I always try to love the support. Some of the past guests that we've had on the show who are musicians or play locally and so forth. So that was my reason why I wanted to go and show some support. They are amazing. They're a duo, a ukulele duo. They've got amazing harmonies. The girls are just really great, and they obviously perform a lot, so they've got a very good stage presence. They're very comfortable on the stage, and they really do some really cool covers. But tonight was more about their originals. So yeah, I was trying to support local music. I was doing my part to support local music. So That's why I was late. That's why we were an hour later tonight, and that's what was going on tonight. But we're here anyway. So there's my reasons. That's I'm sticking to it, and there you go. So sue me, but don't because I got nothing that you can sue me for anyway. So all right, so let's get this party started here. There, thanks for all tuning in there. Thanks Sean there. Big shout out to Sean for tuning in there. Thanks Sean, and thanks for hanging in there with us last night while we were doing our live podcast there with Anthony from the Hey Bartender podcast. And I was cranking out some of the shows this week because of trying to just get some live streaming going on, trying to get some videos out on the YouTube platform and try to kill a few birds with one stone. And yeah, so I've been doing a lot of live streaming this week, and but at least we got some podcasts in the can here for the audio format. But again, check out those episodes there. We had a couple drummers on who are also podcasters, and they got these guys this week. They do a couple different things. So anyway, let's get started to the biggest happier in a half an hour. We kicked it off, and then let's go for it. So let's get in there with our What the Florida segment of the week, and here we go. All right, so our What the Florida card question of the week here is, again, this is What the Florida. There's our cards. And I found out last week that, yes, we've gone through the whole year because obviously we've been doing it every week. So we've already hit all 52 cards. And now we're just kind of going through recycling. Some of them started to kind of sound familiar. I said, wait a minute, I think I've already read this one before. All right, so here's the question for What the Florida of the week. Have your parents told you something as an adult that they kept from you as a child? Have your parents told you something as an adult that they've kept from you as a child? I've got people texting me, dinging, dinging, binging, and all that. So, then I was on. Okay, so I've got a call. All right. Anyway, so I've missed out on a text there, but oh well. So yes, so there's your question. Post in the chat there if you're reading this question is. There's the question there. If you can't understand with the marbles in my mouth, there's a question. Have your parent? It shouldn't it be have your parents told you something as an adult that they kept from you as a child? So there's our question of the week there. So go ahead and answer it. Let me know. I'll be interested in there. Find out a little bit more about you, some of your stories in childhood and scarred memories as now an adult that you were kept from you as a child. And yeah. All right. So there's our What the Florida segment of the week there. We're going to go into it. So, let's get into this. Also, since we're a little bit starting off a little kind of already crazy all over the place, I'm going to get into this, our next segment here. Hopefully you've been enjoying it. And this was, if you watch the intro video there, they were saying, we're making cocktails with Forrest Gump tonight. And what the hell does that mean? It means a lot. So if you've been watching the news, reading, it's probably been the story since the beginning of the year. Forrest Gump, aka Tom Hanks, was on the Colbert Show, and he talked about a certain cocktail that he made on New Year's Eve. So Tom Hanks doesn't drink, he said, or doesn't drink a lot, and he didn't want to kind of feel left out. He's not in recovery; just is something I guess he just doesn't do. And they came around with a champagne, and he was just sitting there drinking his Diet Coke. That's all he had. And he says, you know what? Let me go ahead and just put a little bit of that champagne in my Diet Coke. And people are like, that's gross. That just sounds disgusting. Well, let me tell you this, right? So our our cameras there our cameras there frozen there. So on our screen there. So anyway, so I think there we go. We're back on there with our camera there. So this is called the Diet Cocaine, okay? And this is this is exactly what it is. It is 2/3 parts of Diet Coke and 1 ounce of champagne. So again, just imagine again, he probably didn't have his Coke in a flute glass. I'm sure he had it like in a regular glass. So he had probably his soda, right? Or his Diet Coke in his glass of choice. And then they came along and he says, yeah, go ahead and splash a little bit of that champagne so I don't feel too left out and not you're trying to be sociable, right? So there, they poured in this champagne, and we're sipping on our champagne here. This is Westman One champagne. This is a Brut Rosé. Again, this is actually Champagne because it does say that it came from that part of France there. So this is there. I want to thank our friends down at Sandy Bottle Sips for hooking us up with this bottle here. We did enjoy it on New Year's Eve. We still had some of it. Yes, we didn't go too crazy New Year's Eve. That's why we still have the bottle. We haven't finished it yet. So, yep. So Sean says, yep, not a champagne fan either, but I will tell you there, this is a real surprise. I'm going to hold this up to the camera here so you can see it. Well, this camera doesn't really do it justice. Some of the color here, but I'll tell you. Now let's see. Let's go on this camera here. Let's see if you can see a little bit better on this camera here. So, anyways, of course, the type of champagne you may put in there probably isn't too bad. But what it did was it added that sweetness to, sometimes champagne can have that real harsh taste and flavor. It's not just the bubbles, but some of that harshness. And they sat around the table. He was telling the story to Colbert, and they all sat around the table and they all gave it a try, and they're all like, I can't believe this isn't half bad. And there you go. That's how they came up with a name and said, what are we going to call this thing? And they called it the Diet Cocaine. So there you have it, the Diet Cocaine there. So congrats, Tom Hanks, for coming up with a new drink there where you're taking a little bit of booze and taking a little bit of a Diet Coke product, and you now made a new product, and everyone all over TikTok is going crazy over this drink now, this new drink that's now hit everywhere. So, of course, you're going to probably see all of it on Instagram, and even I did a video other than tonight of this cocktail here. So there it is, the Diet Cocaine. It's super simple. I know a lot of people probably think it's very sacrilegious to mix, again, right, Sean? Don't a lot of people say that it's like sacrilegious to kind of do certain thing with some rums? Like, why are you mixing that rum with this? That's so whatever. Mountain Dew, you're mixing rum and Mountain Dew or whatever. And hey, whatever floats your boat. You bought the booze, you can do whatever you want with it. So there you go. Tom Hanks or Forrest Gump came up with the Diet Cocaine there. So give it a try. Again, if you're somewhere down the road and you got some champagne laying around and some soda or Diet Coke or Diet Coke, give it a try. What's the worst that's going to happen? Again, I'm surprised in how it didn't get too terrible. Again, it adds a little sweetness. You still taste the champagne flavor, so it definitely gives. It does come through with that Diet Coke. So there you go. There you have it. Our cocktail camp of the week, the Diet Cocaine. There. So I don't know. So what do you guys think about that? I'll take their word on that. Yeah, I know. It's one of those that you don't kind of believe it because it is a little bit. It sounds out of place. And, I don't know. I said I don't know if I would've tried I guess if I didn't have a bottle of champagne handy, I probably wouldn't have tried it, and then I would've totally forgotten about it, but there we have it. I tried it. It's because we did have a little bit of champagne left from, New Year's Eve and from, our friends over at Sandy Bottle Sips, so check them out if they're in the West Palm area and their website. So Sean says, here's another one, SoCo and Dew. So Southern Comfort and Mountain Dew. So that's an interesting one. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of purists, there is a certain place, in people's hearts for Southern Comfort, and that's probably the one that doesn't ring a bell for them a lot. But I'll tell you what, probably with all that sugar in the Mountain Dew, it's one of those, it's almost like, Red Bull and vodka, or Red Bull and Jaeger or something where it's an upper and downer with all that sugar and hot, like an energy drink. So SoCo and Dew. There you go. Maybe we'll have to try it. Maybe we'll have to get that one added on there eventually. Again, this show is not all solely just rum. Obviously, we just did a champagne one. So maybe we have to try SoCo and Dew. So just make sure you remind me. Keep me honest, Sean. We'll definitely try that one out there. So, all right. So there we have it. The Diet Champagne. So what else we got going on here? Again, thanks for y'all for tuning in here. We're, again, a little bit late tonight. Little run behind on our start time. I know we typically do 8 o'clock on Thursdays. I know I try to keep it still consistent. I know I bounce around every so often, depending on my schedule. That's just unfortunately the way it is. I do have a thought about maybe since I did the live podcast last night on Wednesday at 7 o'clock, is maybe I should start opening up more for the guys over on Just Drinking there. So they've got an 8 p.m. Eastern time live stream that they do theirs at. And I was thinking more about it. I said, so I'm going to talk to them. And I say here, I'm already talking about it, and I haven't actually quite talked to them about it. So I guess this is going to have, they're going to find out this way. Maybe I should be like their openers show at 7 p.m. Eastern time, and then they go right into the Just Drinking show. What do you think about that, Sean? Do you think that's something that would work out pretty good? We do the happy hour show or happy half hour at 7 o'clock before the Just Drinking show at 8 p.m. And then, we kind of get a little two for Wednesday. I know it's not Tuesday, two for Tuesday, but two for Wednesday, do a little opener. I'll be like the opening act. And then Royer and Mr. Robert Cole there does the they close the evening. So I don't know. Tell me what you think. You think would that work? I mean, I know we got a couple different. Our shows are a little bit different, but we're all about having a good time and enjoying a few cocktails. So let me know. I said I haven't quite talked to them yet about it, but I guess that the cat's out of the bag. This is what my idea is about it. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So anyway. Yeah, so there's our. So we're gonna check these things off the list here. We're gonna try to keep this quick tonight because again, got a little bit of excuse for being a little late here. Starting again, I was seeing live music, so supporting our local music here and fellow Drums and Rums alums, Shanice. Geez, that episode probably goes back to 2021, March of 2021. Shanice was a guest on the podcast during our month where we celebrated Women's Month, and she was a drummer. She's also she's from the islands also too. So she's from Trinidad, so she knows a lot about rum. So it was a really cool episode. I don't remember off the top of my head what episode it was, but just go back and look somewhere March 2021. You'll find a couple episodes in there, which is kind of cool. So like I said, she not only plays ukulele, but also drums too, and hangs out with us on that podcast, drinking rum. So what more can you ask for in a cool friend like that? And the least I can do is at least go and support them at their event tonight. So, all right, so let's get into our Florida Man segment here. Here we go. This just in. Breaking news about this week's Florida Man. Now here's Paul Robertson. All right, so we've got our Florida Man of the Week segment here. I went and picked this story here. I tried to be a little bit more positive, a little bit more upbeat here, rather than stories like a guy getting arrested for having sex with a corpse. I mean, there's some really fucked up shit going on here in Florida, and I was like, you know what? I want to try to find a good story that was kind of a little bit positive, a little bit upbeat. And we have this story here: a Florida man turns 100, still remains active. He's like the Energizer Bunny. So here's our story of our Florida Man of the Week here. And let's read this story about our good old Florida man. So Vero Beach, Florida. And Vero Beach is just about an hour north of West Palm Beach and just south of the Cape Canaveral area, if you're not familiar with Florida. And Florida man celebrated his 100th birthday on Monday, starting his day like he usually does with a 15-minute ride on his adult tricycle. Floyd York lives in a gated community at Cache Cay, Vero Beach, enjoying a life of leisure since he retired from the banking business 3 decades ago. Okay, 3 decades ago, 30 years ago, he retired. Can you imagine? I mean, a lot of people even think about, what am I going to do when I retire? They don't think that you better have a whole lot of hobbies if you're going to be, being retired for 30 years. And that's really crazy. 3 decades ago, right? So York is accompanied by his caregiver when he rides his tricycle at sunrise, according to the news outlet. Then he plays Chinese checkers or rummikub. Rummikub? I'm not quite sure what that is. His active life amazes family members and friends, although he has had around-the-clock caregiver since he fell in his kitchen 3 years ago. That's too bad. He's like an Energizer Bunny. York's eldest son, Todd York, 70, 70 years old, his son, told the TC Palm newspaper. York has always kept going with a career in banking that began as a messenger boy and continued upward until he became president of a savings bank that expanded to 4 branches. Floyd Niles York was born in upstate New York on Day. Oh my God, I'm not even reading tonight. Upstate New York, town of Day, on January 16th, 1923. According to online birth records, he grew up on a farm located 50 miles northwest of Albany, the third son of Oscar York and Flavia LaFontaine. He attended a one-room school with his siblings. They said in a one-room schoolhouse, you can listen to all the kids as they have their lessons, and you can learn a lot ahead of time. York told the news outlet. As a 19-year-old in June 1942, York registered for the draft in Corinth, New York, and listed his residence as Hadley. He worked at the International Paper Company, but then joined the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York, on Long Island, according to online military records. He was a member of crews that delivered shipments of materials to troops fighting in Europe during World War II. It was an interesting experience as long as you don't get torpedoed, York told the news outlet. We sailed in large convoys as far as you can see with ships in every direction. While with the Merchant Marines as a midshipman, York met Carol David of Garden City, New York. The Post-Star of Glen Falls reported. The Garden City high school graduate was working for Sperry Gyroscope Corporation, according to the newspaper. According to an online genealogy research, Carol's eighth great-grandfather through her mother's ancestral line was John Alden, a crew member on the Mayflower in 1620. That's crazy. She would later become a member of the Mayflower Society, the Alden Kindred Society, and the Daughters of the American Revolution, the Post-Star reported. On April 29th, 1945, York proposed marriage by cablegram. Now, there you go. Is that like kind of back nowadays? It would have been, I guess, proposing your marriage by text message, I guess. Will you marry me? Start on arrangements. Decide where to spend honeymoon. Love, Floyd York. Stayed at the wire from Western Union, sent by York from Europe. Not the most romantic message, but it worked. The couple was married on May 26, 1945, the United Presbyterian Church in Garden City. They would raise three sons, according to New York birth records. Todd, born in 1952, Kyle in 1954, and Scott in 1957. With each of his three sons were born, he took care of them for the first week so that a mom could recuperate. Cindy Johnson, one of York's caretakers, told T.C. Palm. York and his wife were married for 59 years until Carol's death on February 10th, 2004 in Vero Beach, according to her obituary. After World War II ended, York took a job in 1946 as a messenger on Union Square Bank Savings Bank in New York. He later became an auditor for the Rosalind Savings Bank, the website reported. After 8 years, he worked his way up as an auditor and then bank president. He grew one branch into 5 in Long Island between 1961 and 1968, according to the advertising supplement paid for by the bank for the May 9th, 1976 edition of Newsday. In addition to the main office in Roslyn, there were 3 satellite branches in West Hempstead, Farmingdale, Belmore, and Woodbury. The bank had more than $1.27 billion in assets when York retired in 1992. Even though he worked at the bank, York was not a fan of credit cards, which gained national popularity with the introduction of the Diners Club card in 1950. He said that easy credit allowed people to spend beyond their means. It is much easier to live knowing that you do not have someone who can come and take your possessions away because you did not make the payment, York told T.C. Palm. Work and don't get into debt. If you can afford it, if you can't afford it, don't buy it. That was his motto. He never drank or smoked to excess, but York said he had no secret to longevity. Certainly his daily ride on his tricycle helps. I'm very grateful that I have a fairly healthy life, York told T.C. Palm. I don't consider myself lucky. My guardian angels have kept an eye on me because I've had at least 14 occasions where I should have been dead. So there's our story. There's our Florida Man story of the week. So there's to you, Floyd. Big applause for there. Here's to you, Florida Man. Our so like I said, I wanted to go with a positive story tonight, and I want to kind of recognize this guy here. So again, the Fountain of Youth must be in Vero Beach. We just got to find where it is in Vero, so at least we know. We thought it was in St. Augustine, but actually, I guess it's in Vero Beach, Florida. So cheers to you, Floyd York, for reaching 100 years of age and seeing an amazing. I always think about people that have reached that age, or as 90 or 100 years old. The things that they've seen over that time period. Whether it's launching rockets and things to the moon. Obviously living through World War II, living through a lot of these things, a lot of these historical things that we all just now read about in history books, and just being, actually experiencing it and living during that time frame. It's just amazing. So, yeah. If you got a grandparent or somebody, just sit and, I'm sure they've probably got some great stories to tell. And that's why older people are always seen to be wise, because they lived it and they can pass some good information along there. So there you go. So there's our Florida man of the week, Floyd York there. So, all right. So 100 years old, man. That's got to be a lot of candles on that cake there. So, all right. So again, like I said, if you just joined us here, here's our What the Florida question of the week. Have your parents told you something as an adult they kept from you as a child? So there, put it in the comments there if you've got an answer to that response there. So check it out there. Have your parents told you something as an adult they kept from you as a child? Like, did they maybe say that your dog ran away and they actually had to give it away, or something like that? Or I don't know, maybe you found out that one of your parents actually wasn't your biological parent, or something to that, like that effect. But anyway, so there's our story there. So again, I think we're almost right there out of time there. As again, thanks for tuning in. I think we've hit all of our marks here for tonight for the happy hour and a half hour. And we did our cocktail of the week there. If you've missed it, we made the Diet Cocaine, Champagne, and Diet Coke, all compliments of the recipe from Tom Hanks, or AKA Forrest Gump. We read our What the Florida segment there. We read our story about our Florida man. So I think we've hit every mark, Sean. Do you think we've hit everything there? So I know we didn't do bingo, so the month isn't over yet. So I think we're going to do bingo next week. So Sean, you've got the drop on that. And again, for anyone who's watching or listening to this later, I guess watching it later is more apt. So when we do our bingo night, so we've moved it to again, bingo for anyone who's on either through. I forgot to put the Cash App link out there. If you just do a one-time thing, or if you wanted to join the Patreon there, it just helps cover costs for some of the giveaways and shipping too. And I think, Sean, you received the other day your winnings from last month, or first early in the month. I think it was end of December. Yeah, we did our big bingo blowout there. We had 3 different prizes that we gave out, prize packs that we gave away. So I think you and Philip there received your stuff the other day, and I still have to get stuff out to Siri, because I know she had a big winning also too. So I got to put some things together for her. So I didn't forget you, Siri. If you're still listening, if you're in the chat listening, or you watch this later, yeah, I didn't forget about you. So we're gonna get that stuff out to you soon. And actually, it might be somebody's birthday coming up too. So maybe that's why we haven't already the event out there for next Thursday, where we have a big birthday blowout that we're gonna plan for. So anyway, yeah, I appreciate it all for tuning in here tonight. And again, I apologize for starting a little late. And again, my reasonings was because I was supporting local music. And so yeah, I think we've hit all our marks. Unless there's anything else you guys got for me, I'm gonna go. If you're thinking about it, definitely, I'm gonna go ahead and think about it, and then I'm gonna go into our plugs here at the end here. So definitely check out which way I got to move the camera myself. So definitely check out the our friends over at House of Wine, Beer, and Spirits. There, they distribute a lot of some of the products you see on our show here. We also got to get with Mario when he's going to come back on our happy hour. We got to schedule that. Also, our good friend Brad Brock at Jams and Coffee. He does the morning show from Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. every week, every day, every Monday through Friday. And also his Jams and Cocktails weekly podcast, 8 p.m. Eastern time on Wednesday nights. So that's why I always talk about having a conflict with the different shows between Just Drinking and Brad's show on the same time every Wednesday night. And also the Rum Posse there, some rum enthusiasts, some reviewers. Nia from My Rum Diaries, Jami and Rashawn from the Ready Set Rum, they do reviews. Nia does reviews also, and she also does a lot of travel and her stories and her rum diaries. That's kind of the like how the movie was based off of, right? Anyway, she got inspiration from the movie, right? The traveling aspect of the rum diaries. And also, I don't want to forget Just Drinking, Roy and Robert there, the guys we just talked about there on Wednesday nights, also on Just Drinking. And then we don't want to forget about Jason, the River Pirate there. He does a lot of reviews as well. He does rum reviews. He does cruise reviews there. And actually, that's right. We just got back from our cruise. My wife and I took last weekend on the Margaritaville of the Sea, and that's just ship that goes out of West Palm to Freeport, Bahamas, and it's it's really quick for us here in West Palm to get over to the Bahamas. But yeah, it was fun. The only a big bummer part was the weather. The cold front came through last weekend and was like, we were actually in the 50. There was actually, I think, 59 and windy in Freeport on Saturday morning, and then we're like, this is just not normal here, or you're not normally in the Bahamas at this time whenever it's weather like this. It's not the first time I remember it. And what was but yeah, like this weekend it's gonna be really warm. It's gonna be really. It's been nice all week. The weather's been great, very low humidity, and of course, this weekend I think Sunday there's a forecast here in West Palm to be 86. So we missed it by a week. Just our luck. I know we booked that cruise back in October, but it is what it is. So yeah, so it wasn't bad. Cost, prices and all that. You can get a pretty good deal as if you're not into drinking and gambling and the excursions and things like that. You can probably be very much on the cheap on that cruise. Unfortunately, I did gamble a little bit and also did drink a little bit. So, uh, go figure. Gotta have a little bit of extra fun too. So Sean said yes. Forgot what I Eon won. Is that what it was? Yes, forgot what I Eon. I'm not sure what he meant there, but so again, I appreciate everybody for tuning in here on a Wednesday. Oh my God, I can't even get my days right. Yeah, I swear I didn't have that much champagne. Uh, I definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in here and hanging out here. I know it's a little bit of a little lower uh, speed tonight on that. But again, I definitely think it's still a good time. I still want to make sure I'm being trying somewhat consistent. So check out the podcast. We did drop our podcast. Don't want to forget about that. This week with Tiki, we're talking Tiki, and it was with Tiki John. I met John at the Miami Rum Renaissance Festival, and then last February at the Florida Rum Society Miami Takeover. Greg our guest on. I'm drawing a blank, man. I'm drawing a real bad blank tonight. So Greg Hill had introduced me and told me all about. He's got a massive tiki mugs. He's got a lot of tiki conversations. So it's really cool. Again, if you're interested about tiki or if you're into tiki, John talks a lot about some of the history and some of that. How some of the tiki stuff really started, and some of the differences between. A lot of people do think it's a appropriation or disrespectful of the actual tiki culture of some of those, the sculptures and the things like that, which is, as long as it's, I don't know. So as he said, I think tiki is whatever you feel tiki is. So I think was the quote, something like that. And yeah, so check that out. That episode dropped there, and trying to get back started on the podcast again. We taped 2 episodes this week. If you watched them live, you got a chance to see the sneak peeks before we drop the actual audio episodes. Over the next couple weeks there with Anthony from Hey Bartender. That was a fun one last night. And then the night before on Tuesday, we taped an episode with Pete McLaughlin, he drummer, also podcaster too. And, so that was a cool conversation. We talked drums, we talked music. And so some of those episodes are really cool because you can get a little bit into it and be a little bit more chill about some of the conversation and really kind of get into it and so forth. So change of pace, not a bad thing. No, you're right. It's not a bad thing to change of pace. So again, I think next week we'll be doing our bingo. I said I think we're going to be doing a happy birthday event there next week for somebody. And one of our fans who usually joins us. And yeah, we're going to get into it. And I'm going to cut everybody loose here tonight since it is a little bit later. And I definitely appreciate everybody for tuning in here tonight. So have a great night. Remember, this is Friday Eve. So get ready for the weekend. Tomorrow's one more work day, and then we have the weekend. A lot of good college. A lot of good playoff football going on, and hopefully the Dallas Cowboys can get better opportunities at field goals this coming weekend than compared to last weekend, even though they did beat Tom Brady. So again, this is all I've got. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. Sean, have a great night. I'll see you all next week on the biggest happy hour in a half an hour. Thanks a lot, y'all.